So acid spaces and salts, just like how the chapter name states, you're going to be talking about all the acids, then all the bases, and then some of the salts. Okay, so what we do is like basically it is we go through the properties of acids, like what exactly are acids in a chemical way, chemically, when you get right down to the molecular part of it. How do you define acids? Like what makes an acid and what makes a base a base? Like how do you distinguish between acid bases? And using that, like, okay, where all are they used? Like how do they react with metals? How do they react with non-metals? How do they react with, so and so salt, all of that stuff. And some other behavior of acids, like, okay, difference between strong acids, weak acids, strong bases, weak bases. And when you combine acids and bases, that's how you get salts. So salt section mein is not a lot. Like we learn about different types of salts, and you just have certain important salts that you use in your day-to-day life. Bleaching powder, baking soda, plaster of Paris, things like that. Okay. So since you guys have already done it, like I'll see how familiar you guys are with like different concepts, and then wherever you guys are facing an issue, we'll go deeper in that particular part. Okay. So acids, bases, and salts, we start off with say the definitions. What do you mean by acids? Like when we talk about acids, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Give out heat.
Sharing test.
Acids give out heat. Who else? Anirban, what did you say?
Sharing test.
Corrosive in nature.
Harmful for us.
Sorry, I didn't get you, Anirban. Can you repeat that?
I'm sharing test.
Sour in taste. Okay, that's interesting. How do you associate acids to be sour in taste? Is it just because it's given in the textbook?
By lemon or vinegar.
Lime.
Yes. So lemon juice is sour, and the main component of lemon juice, like what makes lemon lemony, is an acid. So the specific acid present in lemon is called citric acid. In fact, it's the same thing. Like, how do oranges taste?
Acidic.
As citrus.
Yeah, like
They are
lemon-
sour. Like
Yes.
So,
I mean, oranges are
Yeah.
sweeter than lemons, but they still have that tang, right? Like oranges are not like apples or mangoes, they're more like lemons. So all these citrusy fruits that we say, they have that characteristic like tangy nature because of the acid present in them. And then you also said vinegar, yes. So don't like drink vinegar, but like maybe if it's there in your kitchen, take a tiny drop and like just taste it. These are like the only safe acids that you can taste, citric acid and the acetic acid, which is there in vinegar. But again, because they are acids, you can't just like drink them like water or juice, just a tiny drop. So vinegar also does the same job as lemon when it comes to cooking. And the reason is that they have the same nature. Vinegar itself is made up of acids. It's a solution of something called acetic acid. Okay. So in fact,
Even curd has lactic acid.
yes, very good. So when curds go sour, it's because there's more of acetic acid, lactic acid produced in them. Okay. So the name acid itself comes from the fact that they taste sour. Okay. So sour substances were discovered first, and if something is sour, you can bet on it that, oh, there is some acidic component in it. So technically though, okay, like you can't just deal with food items. You can't just like, you have to get down to figuring out what acids are to be able to take good decisions, right? Like what to use in place of what. So chemically, acids are substances which turn blue litmus red, have a pH value lower than 7, and acids usually taste sour. So pH value lower than 7. Blue litmus red and pH value lower than 7 we will discuss this further on into the chapter, like what exactly pH is and what is the range of numbers and all of that. And yeah, blue litmus. Okay, litmus is like a special substance. It's like a specific chemical which is used as an indicator to differentiate between acids and bases. So that also we'll get into it much later. There's a lot of different indicators to tell you whether something is acidic or basic. Okay. Then consequently, acids, on the other side of it, you have bases. Okay, so if substances that taste sour are like generally classified under acids, how do you identify bases? Like what kind of taste do they usually have? Any of you?
Bitter taste, no?
Bitter.
Bitter, okay.
Bitter
Bitter.
taste.
यहाँ पे textbook में है already, so that's there. But any of you have tasted any base?
I have a doubt.
No?
Ma'am,
Sometimes
like,
soap.
does
One at a time.
ma'am, does bitter gourd like have base or alkaline? Because it is bitter.
That's an interesting question. The where bitterness of bitter gourd comes from, I'll have to look into it. I have to Google search and see what substances it contains. But bases just like tend to taste bitter. I don't think every single bitter
Ma'am, saffron has some base. And
may,
it also tastes bitter at the end of it.
like a bitter aftertaste, right? Like after all that fragrance and things. Puneet, you were saying something earlier?
Miss soaps, they are bases because it's slippery.
Slippery, yes. Soaps are relatively basic. Have you any of you like tasted a soap? Like got curious? They smell so nice. Wonder what they taste like.
Yeah, accidentally.
No,
I did
ma'am.
it as a kid, like when I was, I don't know, younger than you, like primary school age, had a little taste of it. Any of you guys were curious? So what did it taste like?
Yeah, it tastes
Um,
bitter, like more than the Karela.
Yeah, not at all matching the smell of it, right? Yeah.
Ma'am, even like antacid.
It smells pretty good, but tastes very bitter.
Nikki was mentioning antacid. Yes.
Yeah, so when we are like taking the tablets, we sometimes get to taste them and they are again bitter.
So depending on the antacid, if it's like if it has a base, yes, it's slightly bitter in taste. So next time when you guys have a chance to have like Gelusil and all, they add other flavoring agents just to make it taste edible. But especially things like Enos. So if at all you have a chance to take Enos, that choose one that doesn't have any flavor. Like take the plain one, original one, and then see what it tastes like. So it's not like Karela kind of bitter, but it's definitely like not a good taste. Slightly on the bitter
Yeah,
side.
ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, bases taste bitter. Who all bake? Like any of you do any kitchen baking?
Yes.
Nice. So how do you bake, Nikki? Like what do you like cakes?
Yeah, I have baked quite a few cakes, especially in the lockdown. So
Mhm.
yeah, we add soda and baking soda and baking powder in one.
Yes. So baking soda, baking powder, yes. Have you like do you guys know there is a difference between baking soda and baking powder?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, that is a slight difference.
So
Yes, ma'am.
have you used both baking soda and baking powder in like different situations?
Yeah, we use them both in different quantities.
Oh, you use
Usually, baking powder is slight more than the soap.
right. So if at all you run out of baking powder, like let's say you have only baking soda, how do you change the recipe? What do you do then?
not quite sure about. I said I'm not sure about it.
Not sure. Okay, you haven't come across that situation. ठीक है. That's nice then. ठीक है. So that's something we'll come across. So bases, acids. Difference is that bases kind of taste bitter, acids taste sour. So to remember, like remember lemon juice. Lemon juice, citric acid, tastes sour. Bases bitter, BNB. Bases turn blue, like litmus turns blue. Acids turn red. And acids pH is lower than 7, bases pH is higher than 7. Okay. So this is like observation based. Okay, how do you find the difference between acids and bases? Next, but chemically, like the next thing that we are going to discuss is the reaction of acids and bases with different things, with metals, with carbonates, all of this stuff. So react karne ke liye, what is the difference between acids and bases? To figure that out, can you guys give me some examples of acids and bases that you know of? Let's start with acids.
Hydrochloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid.
Sulfuric acid.
Hydrochloric acid
Sulfuric acid.
HCl.
HCl.
HCl. Sulfuric acid, Aditya said, what's the formula?
H2SO4.
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 Nitric acid.
Nitric acid. HNO3.
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 HNO3. The vinegar wala acid is called acetic acid.
Acetic acid.
CH3.
CH3. COOH.
Acetic acid. So you have citric acid, tartaric acid, but like their formula is slightly more complicated. They all are like organic acids. Okay. Next, bases. Example of some common bases.
Hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide.
Potassium hydroxide, KOH. Someone said NaOH. Absolutely right. Sodium hydroxide. So based on this, what do you guys say? Like, what makes acids acidic? What is common?
Hydrogen is there.
Hydrogen is common.
Hydrogen, yes. Okay. So HCl is an ionic compound. What all ions do you get out of it?
H plus Cl minus.
H plus Cn minus.
H plus Cl minus.
H2SO4 ionized hone pe, what do you get?
H plus S and O.
H plus, yes.
H minus. H plus, sorry. S minus and O minus.
So that is okay. Does anyone else want to give it a try?
SO4 2 negative.
SO4 2 minus sulfate ion form of that. Okay. So always, like Puneet, remember, whenever you have like a simple acid or a base or a salt, most of the cases you always get a positive ion and a negative ion, one cation and one anion. Okay, if you get multiple cations, anions, it's like same species, like H2SO4 you get 2 H plus and 1 SO4 minus, but overall it's basically just H plus and SO4 2 minus. It's just a cation and an anion. Okay, nitric acid what are the, like what sort of ionization takes place?
H plus and NO3 minus.
H plus NO3 minus.
Yes, H plus and NO3 minus. CH3COH what sort of ionization do you get?
CH plus COOH 3 minus.
Anirban, remember we're talking about acids, and just now you said that acids
H plus.
you need hydrogen to be formed. Okay. So what makes acids acidic is the presence of H plus. So if anything gives out H plus, then it is an acid. Okay. So acetic acid the H plus is given out from oxygen. The reason why goes into electronegativity, like that goes deeper. But so this dissociates into iska H plus comes from this end of it. This is the one that's given out. And the rest of it is all anion. So that's CH3COO minus. Yeah. Very nice. So acids matlab presence of H plus needs to be there. Okay. Next, bases. What sort of ionization will take place?
K plus OH minus.
K plus and OH minus, potassium ion, OH minus. And sodium hydroxide will ionize into
Na plus OH
Na.
minus.
Na plus and OH minus. So how do you recognize bases? Like the simplest definition of it?
Presence of OH minus.
Correct. Very nice. So bases matlab presence of hydroxide ions. So hydroxide ions is what makes bases basic. Like all of, so once you get the hang of this, right? Bases matlab OH minus hona chahiye, acids matlab H plus hona chahiye. All of the reactions of acids and bases becomes very, very clear to you. Like it gets so much easier. Okay. So how? Yeah, we'll discuss this further. So before we go ahead, fun fact, atoms are made of protons, neutrons, electrons. This you guys are aware of. Have you ever wondered what protons and electrons taste like?
No, ma'am.
Any of you curious about what they would taste like? So electrons, no one knows what they taste like. I don't think anyone is capable of tasting electrons, but protons definitely have a taste. Let's see who can figure out what protons taste like.
Sour.
And Puneet, why do you say sour? Like, how did you get that?
I think like acids taste sour, and so acids have a proton, like more of protons of H plus. So more of protons means more of sourness.
Very nice. Kind of close. I would say I would give you like 80% marks for that. So acids, like what makes acids is H plus, right? And H plus is basically hydrogen, right? What is the structure of a hydrogen atom?
One proton, one neutron.
Right, like hydrogen का atomic number कितना है? Elena?
1.
1. So that, like, what does that mean? Hydrogen का atomic number is 1. इसका मतलब, what is the structure of its atom like? Like, what do you know about it?
Ma'am, it needs to gain 1 electron to
So
complete it.
reaction हो गया, but what is the hydrogen atom like? Like, what does this 1 represent, atomic number?
Ma'am, it represents one proton and 1 electron.
Very nice. So hydrogen is basically made of 1 proton and it has 1 electron revolving around it. Right? Okay. Abhi acids mein kya hai? So you have H plus. So what does this plus represent? Mansi?
The loss of electrons.
Loss of electron. So H plus matlab is atom ko kya hua?
There are no electrons left. There's only 1 proton.
Exactly. So basically, acids are characterized by the presence of, or, you know, like in solution, like when you put acids in water, what happens is they give out protons. Okay, so it's just one proton. So again, this also, while you're studying about acid spaces salts, you would come across it. A lot of times people don't mention, hydrogen ion, or like either it's written in short form as H plus ion, or it is referred to as a proton. So whenever you come across like proton, take it to mean, at least in the context of acids and bases, that it means that they're referring to H plus ion. Okay, so that's one thing, just keep note of it. I'll point it out whenever we come across it in the text. Okay, but yeah, this ionization is very, very important. It will help you in figuring out how reactions take place and how to predict the products of it. Okay, so the first set of reactions is a reaction of acid plus metal. Okay. I'll take an example first, and then I'll write the generalized equation. So I'll tell you what you guys can write in your notes. Okay, I'll tell you guys when to note it down. So first, let's figure out the reaction. So let's say I have an acid. I'll take a simple acid HCl and make it react with a metal, magnesium, simple metal. What are the products that would be formed? Predict कर लेते हैं. Okay. पानी में what does HCl dissociate into?
H plus Cl minus.
Yes, this dissociates into H plus and Cl minus. Magnesium, what sort of ions does it form?
Mg2 plus.
Forms Mg2 plus, right? Okay. Now, what sort of ions attract each other? Like what charges attract? What charges repel?
Opposite charges.
Opposite charges.
Yeah, opposite charges attract. So H plus Cl minus agar attract kiya, so you get HCl back. So what is the other possibility?
MgCl2.
Very nice. So Mg plus and Cl minus attract each other because they are oppositely charged. And agar magnesium and chlorine, if they had to form a compound, what will the formula of the compound be, Anirban? So you have Mg and you have Cl. इन दोनों के साथ compound form करना है. उसका
Ma'am, MgCl2 plus H2.
Very nice. So MgCl2 will be formed क्योंकि magnesium का valency है 2 and chlorine का valency है 1. Criss-cross method forms MgCl2, and remaining H plus will take the electrons from magnesium and form hydrogen molecule, which goes upwards. इसको अगर balance करना है तो let's put 2 over here. Okay. So that's how that's how the reaction takes place. So if we were to write the generalized equation, acid plus metal gives what sort of a compound is magnesium chloride? Dhruv, Dhruv. Anirban, we just discussed ना, acid होने के लिए H plus होना चाहिए. MgCl2 में H plus तो नहीं है. So what sort of compound is this? Mansi got it. Dhruv, are you there? Anirban, अभी पहले सीखा है ना, base के लिए क्या, like you need OH for a compound to be a base. MgCl2 में base नहीं है. So ionic compounds, usually whenever you have a cation and an anion, So simple basic ionic compounds made out of a metal plus anion are called salts.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, you're asking me something. I didn't able to.
Yeah, I was asking you what MgCl2 is called. What happened?
Oh, magnesium chloride.
Name is magnesium chloride, but the class of compounds or category of compound is like that would come under a salt. Salt is made up of a cation that is usually a metal plus an anion. But it doesn't have to be a metal. Like there are other salts which are made of cations that are not metals also. Okay, do that later. And Cl2 and
Ma'am,
hydrogen.
ma'am,
Yeah.
can you re-explain salts?
Huh. So salts are basically like simple. Salts are basically ionic compounds. They're simple ionic compounds. So ionic matlab they're made up of a cation plus an anion. And usually the cation is a metal. In some cases, it may not be a metal. Like for example, ammonium ion NH4 plus is also a cation. But if you have NH4Cl, for example, that would be considered as a salt. So as long as the cation is not hydrogen, usually it's either a metal or a polyatomic ion like ammonium ion. So that would be a salt. And usually you get salts from neutralization reactions or, like when acids react with basic substances. Could be metal oxide, like not just bases like sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, could be any sort of a basic substance. Like a metal.
Ma'am, so neutralization is compulsory or it is just a possibility?
What is compulsory? I didn't get you. Dhruv, sorry, Divya, can you repeat what you asked?
Neutralization.
Oh, you're asking what is neutralization?
No. Neutralization is compulsory for that or not?
It is
Like it will.
salts are formed from, like there is no other way for salts. I mean, you have displacement, double displacement and all of that, but like where do you get salts from is usually from a neutralization reaction. Yeah, Aditya, what's up?
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I was writing something from the whiteboard first page. Can you please show it once again?
Yeah, one moment. So in case you guys are noting down the definition of salts, right? This is a very good definition. It's just like 2 sentences, covers all the important points. So note this down rather than what is written on the whiteboard for definition of salts. Okay, so once you guys are done with that, I'll switch back to the whiteboard. So note down what are acids, what are bases, what are salts, and then we'll go on to reaction with metals.
Ma'am, should we note down the 4th point also, or that indicator?
Not right now. When we get to the indicators part of it, then you can note it.
Okay.
So yeah, you can let me, okay, I can see you guys are writing, but yeah, when you're ready to move forward, like just let me know. Okay. Aditya.
Ma'am, in example of salt, we can add NH4 plus, right?
नहीं, ionic compound like cation, anion दोनों होना चाहिए. So NH4 plus is a single ion, so वो तो salt नहीं हो सकता है. So use NaCl, MgCl2, Na2SO4,
Okay, ma'am.
maybe metal plus an anion. Make a salt.
Okay.
Aditya, like since you've finished noting down, is there any specific part of the chapter that you find difficult that you want to focus on?
No, ma'am, but I think I just need more of practice because it is a tricky chapter. Terms and
It's going to be like this, yeah. So a lot of application based. Like two things you need to know is one, like the general equation. Agar metal or acid reacts with so and so thing, to kya form hoga? And second is how to form compounds. Like uska unka valencies kya hoga? Like if you had a sulfate ion and aluminium ion, तो दोनों के साथ कौन सा compound form होगा? Valencies.
yes.
To be perfect with both, you can like 40-50% of your job is done. Rest of it is like your definitions and the new concepts. Dhruv, you still noting down?
No, I
Divya, are you done or what? Like I don't see you here. Divya and Nikki, what's going on? Like, are you guys still noting?
Yes, ma'am. Just the last part.
Okay.
So do we have to raise our hand if we are done?
Don't have to. You can put it on chat. Like, anyway, is fine. Now, because I can't see you on video, I don't know when you are done and when you are, if you're still writing. Yeah. Puneet and Elena, again, same question to you guys. Is there any specific part that you guys want to focus on in this chapter? Be it reactions, be it like the salt part or
Miss, like in our classes, I got confused regarding products. Like when bases are reacting with metal carbonates, that one.
oh, bases.
Bases are reacting with some substances to give out something, right?
Bases will
Yeah,
react
that, but
on metal oxides or with acids. Okay.
yeah, and that washing powder thing.
Okay. Elena?
Ma'am, actually, in like the application part, like when our teacher was doing the back of the chapter, the question answers where they were asking some sort of application, and I didn't get like most.
Okay, we'll solve questions. I'll try and like I want to finish this in 2 classes. So Friday we'll spend quite some time on questions. So we'll do that. Nikki, what about you?
Ma'am, not any particular part of this one.
Okay. Okay. Cool. You just have to write these 3, huh? Like reactions ke liye, I will tell you guys what to write. Like, you know, you can write it in short forms and I'll give you like the generalized equation and all that. Divya, what is going on? How much are you done with?
Almost done. No, acid, base, and salt.
All right. So Mansi, you're also done. So is there any specific part you want to focus on, Mansi?
Ma'am, not really. right now.
Okay, cool. Like a normal general revision and practice.
One thing I want to focus on the neutralization reactions because
Okay.
they are a bit confusing in the states.
Okay. What about strength of acids and bases? Like, are you guys clear about what's the difference between strong acids? Like, what makes an acid strong? What do you consider weak? All of that. Okay. Anirban, are you done noting down?
Yes, ma'am. Thumbs up also.
Okay. Anirban is done. So Dhruv and Divya, let me know how much is left. Okay, Divya says he's done. Okay,
Oops, I'm done.
you're done. Okay, cool. Whoever I have not asked the question, again, same question goes to you guys. Like, is there any specific part of the chapter you find confusing, difficult, you want to go over again?
Ma'am, salt part.
Salt part. Okay. All right. So next, when it comes to reaction, like just, yeah, put the heading reaction of acid with metal and note down the part that I have written in red. Okay. So note down the generalized this thing equation, and I'll also give you the formula based equation. So acid, let's call it HA, where H is the hydrogen and A is the anion part of it. Could be Cl minus, it could be SO4 2 minus, could be NO3 minus, koi bhi hai, HA. Plus metal, M, gives, salt is basically acid ka anion plus the metal. So this will form Ma plus hydrogen gas is given out. Okay. So use this as a code for you guys to remember, for you guys to practice. The only thing you need to take, like once you know this equation, right? The only thing you need to take care of is the valency के हिसाब से. Like अगर Mg दिया है, तो Mg का valency 2 है, so you need to modify it based on that. अगर acid is SO4 2 minus, तो फिर salt का formula it will change accordingly. Okay. So that part you need to be careful about. But general, like the concept or the idea is that iska anion will combine with the metal and hydrogen is released as a gas. Okay, so once you're done, we'll practice some equations of.
Ma'am, we have to only write the red thing, right?
Write the red thing,
Okay,
and
ma'am.
then whatever I give you for practice, like write down those equations.
Ma'am, can you please show the first page?
I will, once everybody is okay with, like, are you guys done with this?
Ma'am, we had the salts part also.
Salts part, I mean, if you want, you can note it down, but I like chapter notes mein jo definition hai, that's a very good, like that's a good definition. So,
Okay, ma'am. Then done.
so this is like examples of acids and bases. So in case you want to note it down, you can mention it. If you're noting it down, like note down this part, you know, the fact that acids may H plus hote, bases may OH minus hote. This is the important bit. Yeah, Nirpan is noting it down. Puneet, you're also noting it down? You done? Okay. Divya, Mansi, and Neki, where are you guys? I don't see you.
Ma'am, done writing.
Okay, here, ठीक है. Cool. So let's start simple. Hydrochloric acid plus, I'll give you guys like 3-4 equations. Just send me what the products are, okay? Hydrochloric acid plus aluminum gives sulfuric acid plus zinc. Now this is an important equation, like you guys have it in your first chapter also. It's an equation of metal plus this thing. Activity based acid pairs, zinc granules and stuff. Okay, do these three and then there are a couple of special points, important points, and I'll mention. You can send it over chat, or if it's convenient, you can like click picture and then send all of them on WhatsApp. Both are fine. Oh, Puneet has already sent it. Yeah, all three are right. Mansi, first is right, second is right, third is also. Third may check the last bit, Mansi. Hydrogen bit of bit. Dhruv, check valency of aluminium. That part is wrong. Aditya, all three are right. Neki, the first one, salt ka valency check kar lena. Like chlorine ka valency, be careful with that. 2 and 3 are correct. Dhruv, second one is right. Mansi, yes. Elemental hydrogen is always H2. Don't write just H. Okay. Dhruv, yes, third is right. So Dhruv, you just need to check the first one. Aluminium ka valency check kar lena.
Yeah.
You have sent it on WhatsApp. Let's check it.
Ma'am.
Yeah, Aditya.
Ma'am, so should we write all of them in the notebooks also?
Yeah. Like if you're working something out, it needs to be in your notes. Example, so hona chahiye.
No, okay.
Anirban, again, yours also 2 and 3 are correct. Aluminium ka valency you need to check. Aluminium and chlorine ka valency. 3-4 of you have gone wrong in this, or maybe like 2-3 of you have gone wrong with this. Okay. So Anirban, you got the idea is right.
Yes.
Aluminium and chlorine form a compound. So abhi aluminium ka valency kya hai?
Ma'am, 2.
No. Dhruv, what is the valency of aluminium?
3.
+3. Aluminium is +3. And but Dhruv, you sent a wrong answer. Like, what happened?
Yeah, I thought it was 2, so that's why I just wrote it wrong.
नहीं है, 3 है actually. ठीक है. Anirban, what's the valency of chlorine?
2.
No. Who will answer? Who has not sent it? Maybe you send it on WhatsApp. I'll just check it in a minute. Elena, the answers that you sent all are right. Neki, yes. So chlorine ka valency is -1. Valency is 1. Chlorine forms an anion. Okay. So Anirban, using this, what will be the formula of this compound between aluminium and chlorine?
Ma'am, Al3Cl minus plus H2.
Al3 नहीं, formula कैसे बनाते हैं? Once you have the valence C, do you remember grade 9 में crisscross? So इसका valence C chlorine के पास जाएगा और इसका valence C aluminium के पास जाएगा.
Ma'am, Al minus Cl3.
So when you form a compound, right, the plus minus disappears. Plus minus is just to indicate that aluminium forms a cation and chlorine forms an anion. अगर दोनों combine हो गए ना, तो the positive and the negative basically get neutralized and overall charge 0 हो जाएगा. That's why you don't write the plus minus in compounds. But when you break them apart, then they become like plus minus again because they ionize. Okay. So the salt will be AlCl3 and hydrogen is produced. Okay. So another way to look at it is, like Anirban, how confident are you with electronic configuration?
Ma'am, not full, but little bit.
Little bit. Okay. Aluminium का electronic configuration क्या है? Okay. अगर याद नहीं है तो like let it be. No issues. Yeah. But valencies, at least this part you need to remember. Do you have your grade 9 books, Anirban?
Yes, ma'am.
So revise the chapter atoms and molecules like thoroughly. Like you can forget about definitions and all that, but jo bhi part valency ka, and then how to form compounds, how to name compounds, now all that application bit of it, go over it frequently till it's like right at your fingertips. Because now in grade 10, you like there is no other way. Like you had a taste of chapter 1. It's all about equations and reactions. So if you don't know the formulas or like it'll help you. You don't have to remember every single formula. If you know that aluminium chlorine ke beech mein you need to form a compound, if you remember just the valencies, it is enough. As long as you know the valency of aluminium, you can make the compound aluminium chloride, aluminium sulfate. You don't have to remember it. The applications, you'll easily be able to write the reactions. Yeah. So revise so whoever is not confident with valencies and formation of compounds and all of that, right? Grade 9 atoms and molecules chapter. Pakka go over it again and again. Okay. Baki dono, yes, all of you got it right. So this would be zinc sulfate and hydrogen gas is released. This would be NaCl plus hydrogen gas is released. Yeah.
Ma'am, is it always necessary when we write in exams also or in roughly in notebooks? Is it always necessary to make an arrow after the H2 to show the heat? Or...
Yeah, so H2 is released as a gas, right? It's a good habit to show, which is what I'm coming back to. So products, everybody predicted correctly. I was checking your answers that you sent here. You sent me the most perfect answers, Divya. So he's balanced the equations and he's written the states also in the equation. Okay. So speaking of, if you had to write the states of each of these compounds, let's start with this one. HCl का physical state क्या रहेगा?
Aqueous.
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 AQ.
AQ. And why do you think, why aqueous, Mansi?
Because we dilute it with water.
Very good. Absolutely. So any reaction with acids and bases, default uska state hoga aqueous, because you're not going to take pure acids, pure bases. You're not going to make them react in solid form. Reaction bahut hi slow chalega. So you dissolve them in water and then do whatever reaction you have to do. So hamesha acids bases ka aqueous hi rahega. Next, metals. Like if you take any metal,
Yes, solid.
it is going to be in solid state. Absolutely. Where the salt that is formed, what state will it be in?
Aqueous.
Aqueous.
Aqueous, correct.
Aqueous.
Stable salt, like अगर पानी में बना रहे तो every salt, like most of them are going to be dissolved in water, so all the salts are going to be aqueous, except for things like calcium carbonate, barium sulfate, no, barium chloride. Like certain salts like that are insoluble, but most of them, like 80% of them, are soluble. And hydrogen, either you can write G or
Gas.
upward arrow.
G.
Either or. Don't do both, but either or. Either arrow or the letter G. So similarly, yeah, put the thing. And none of these equations are balanced, huh? So no, this one is balanced actually. 2H, 2H, and Zn is 4, Zn is 4. But yeah, this equation and this equation, they are unbalanced. So when you present it in the exam, equations have to be balanced. Yeah. So step 1, figure out the products. Step 2, then do all of these extra things. So like once you get the right equation, then look at balancing it and then put the states and all of that. Okay. Now, based on this, I want you guys to observe one more thing. What type of reaction is taking place here? Let's see.
Single displacement.
Very nice, Aditya. Yes. So you can see that it's a single displacement. Like what is getting displaced?
Every time H is getting displaced by
Hydrogen.
Al, Zn, and Na.
So hydrogen is getting displaced by whatever metal is it's reacting with. Okay. How many of you remember the reactivity series? Puneet remembers, nice. Mansi, did you raise your hand or was that by mistake? Dev, you remember it? Yes, that's
I kind of remember the sentence and then I just link it up.
okay. No, as long
It's
as
like, please stop me something, right?
Ma'am, I don't
Please
remember
stop
the
calling
entire-
me a careless zebra. Instead, try learning how copper
A couple saves gold.
saves
Saves
gold.
gold. Yeah.
nice. You guys do remember it. In any case, I will display it.
Ma'am, can you please turn off your video because your video and voice is lagging a bit.
Okay. So reactivity series, there you go. Based on this reactivity series, okay, I'll give one more reaction. Let me know if that reaction, like what will the products of that reaction be, okay? Tap. Okay. HCl plus copper. What will the products of this reaction?
No reaction will take place.
No reaction.
Okay.
No reaction.
Three people.
No reaction.
No, Aditya also says no reaction. Dhruv, Divya, Elena.
No reaction, no reaction.
No reaction.
No reaction.
No reaction. Oh, very nice.
Ma'am, because hydrogen is more reactive than copper, so it will not displace.
Very nice. Correct. So at the base of it, it's like a single displacement reaction, right? And copper, being less reactive than hydrogen, will be unable to displace hydrogen from the acid. So no reaction will take place. Very nice. So note this down, note this point down. Let me share the whiteboard again.
Again, if you have noted it once in the first chapter, so then
This specific point, so note down the fact that, okay, write it in red. Copper usually does not react with metals. Actually, let me see if it is there in the chapter notes. Oh, hang on, like don't note it down yet. I'll show you. Yeah, note this point down here. So copper cannot displace hydrogen and hence does not react with acids. So that's like one exception to it. And you guys could figure out the reason also. Like based on the reactivity series, copper is below hydrogen, so it cannot displace hydrogen. So that's why with copper, there is no reaction.
Also, same applies to silver and gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
So should we add copper, silver, and gold?
You can. Silver, gold, platinum. There are a few metals.
So mainly silver and gold are not seen in reactions, right?
Yeah, silver, gold, usually they're not mentioned because they don't react majority of the time, especially gold and platinum. There's hardly 1-2 reactions that you'd come across with extremely strong acids. Copper, usually you see it in like single displacement, double displacement. Like copper is a more common metal, right? That's why it's kind of mentioned whenever there's like a special thing with copper. Okay. Neena is done. Aditya is done. Puneet and Divya are writing. Dhruv, are you writing? Like I can just see your silhouette, so I don't know if you're.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Puneet is also done. Anirban, you done? Okay. Nikki is also done. Cool.
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Then test for hydrogen gas. Who remembers the test for hydrogen? What is the? How do you figure out if the gas releases hydrogen or not?
Ma'am, bring a burning matchstick.
Ma'am, yeah, bring a matchstick and it will create a pop sound.
Very nice.
And it will extinguish.
Yes. So flame extinguishes with a pop sound. It's a squeaky pop. Have you guys like? Did I play that video to you guys? Have you heard what sort of sound it creates?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, let me play it then. It's a very squeaky pop. It's a nice sound. How is the audio if I play it over Zoom? Like, do you prefer if I play it over here or should I send it to you guys separately?
Ma'am, on Zoom, the video lags when you share,
Oh,
but it's we can means.
okay. So most usually,
Grammarly does more than.
so usually hydrogen is produced in the laboratory by the reaction of acids only.
Use a simple hydrogen pop test. I'm going to use magnesium strip, and I'm also going to use 1 molar of hydrochloric acid.
There you go. This is the reaction that you guys have just written. He's using magnesium and HCl, hydrochloric acid.
This is going to create a acid metal reaction. It's going to release hydrogen gas. It's also going to cause a product of water as well. So what you need to do for this one is just place a magnesium strip in your test tube. Squirt in some hydrochloric acid, just enough to cover it. Probably undo the lid first. Enough to cover it, and then you place the stopper on top. While you're doing that, get someone in your group to light a match. I've got one pre-lit, and then you just have to wait for the fun to begin. It's going to be a little warm, so feel it, and then just wait You're going to start to feel some pressure at the top with the popper at the top. It should pop off soon. And then when it does, put the match in there. Ready? Good bit where you have to wait around and be quiet. Let's try it. I did it. Oh,
Did you guys catch that?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Ma'am, what is that thing burning in his hand?
So that's just it's a splint. Like take a flammable thing and just light it with a candle or something.
Ma'am, is it a candle, a very thin candle or something like paper roll?
That's not a candle. It's not paper roll also. It's like there are some substances that can burn. Like it's not just paper. You have cloth also burns. Some waxy substance burns. Wouldn't like
Okay.
not exactly twigs directly from the trees, but there are some from coconut plant. Like there's some stick kind of things you can take, so that burns just like that. Some synthetic substances that you get, like it's called a splint. SPLINT, usually used in the labs for things like this. I'll just play
let's
it
try
again.
it. Ready? Did it. Go.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, it didn't
ma'am,
extinguish.
so
Yeah, Aditya.
yeah, ma'am, I was just asking that when when as you have said that in WhatsApp that we will have a session on Saturdays or Sundays, will we do some experiments also or just the explanation and revision of the topics?
Experiment if it is safe. Like obviously, chemical reactions will not be possible because I have to source the substances. But if it's something with household substances or light related, sound related sort of things, then we can do that live. But mainly it's going to be like practice, doubt clarification, things like that.
Okay.
pH paper related, like with lemon juice, with baking soda, like I have them in my house here. So I'll do it here on screen and I can also do it in class also. But yeah, things that are not dangerous that can be done easily, we'll do this. Puneet, you were saying something?
Yeah, ma'am. Why you said that when we bring burning mass in near hydrogen, it gets extinguished, right? So why didn't it get extinguished here?
There are multiple factors at play here for a flame to be extinguished. Like if he had, like instead of putting it at the mouth of the test tube, if he had inserted it in the test tube, then that flame would have extinguished. Because all of the hydrogen, it basically reacts with the oxygen, cuts off the oxygen supply. And also when hydrogen is burning, what product is formed? This is a very simple thing, you guys can predict. Hydrogen burning, matlab, what does it react with?
O2, H2O.
So the product formed is water, right? So like the water vapor created along with the oxygen getting cut off, all of those factors contribute to that flame getting extinguished. But if you keep that oxygen flow going, like as long as there is fuel and there is oxygen and there is sufficient temperature or heat to keep that flame going, that flame will not be extinguished. So, okay. All right. So that was basically reaction with metals. So acids ho gaya. Now, what about bases with metals? So let's say bases is usually BOH, like NaOH, KOH, CaOH twice. Like it's basically a metal with hydroxide plus a metal. So will this give a reaction? Will there be a displacement reaction that will take place when you react bases and metals?
Yeah.
Hmm. Where are you guys? Again, you switched off your videos. Elena, Mansi, Dhruv, Dev.
Miss, I'll switch it on in 1 minute.
So bases with metals,
No, ma'am.
there will not be any reaction that takes place. Yeah, because this in water will split into B plus and OH minus. If metal was to ionize, it would become like M plus. Now you might think that plus and minus might combine, but again, if it is all within water itself, it's again going to ionize and remain as M plus and OH minus, right? So that is the reaction, that is the reason that this reaction, like bases, when you treat them with metals, there is no reaction that takes place. So another way to look at it is metals are usually considered to have basic nature. Like your metal oxides are basic, outright basic. When you dissolve metal oxides in water, like metal hydroxides are basic in nature. And because metals are able to react with acids, you can associate them, you can consider them as being slightly basic in nature. The real reason why metals are associated with basicity is from the fact that metals can give out electrons. So that's like a more complex definition of acids and bases in terms of something that can donate electrons, something that can accept electrons. But yeah, that is a little more complex. We'll get to that later. But metals are considered to be basic in nature. Usually for a reaction, you need opposite kind of, like cations attract anions. Acidic things react with basic things, right? So bases and metals, they're kind of like, they have a similar nature. So yeah, there won't be any reaction between bases and metals. That said, there are some metals that show both acidic and basic nature. So they react with both acids as well as bases. So example, like the most common examples that you guys have in your syllabus is aluminium and zinc. So even lead shows these kind of properties. So these metals are called amphoteric metals. Mansi, like note this down. So this, like whatever I write in red, like absolutely note it down. Some metals react with both acids and bases. These are the examples. So they are called amphoteric metals. Amphoteric metals concept is very, very important. Is chapter may, because we're learning about acids and bases. Metals and non-metals may, फिर से you guys will come across this. And हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ question like अगर इस chapter like इस concept पे आना चाहिए तो amphoteric metals a question definitely is. It's like a favorite question for a lot of exam people. So amphoteric metals, and if you're talking about the metal oxides, then they're called amphoteric oxides. Okay, so definition of amphoteric metals is the metals that have the capability or that can react with both acids and bases. So reacting with both acids and bases, this is the key point. This is the phrase for this particular definition. And then note down the examples: aluminium, zinc, lead.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a doubt not regarding to this chapter, the next chapter, chapter 3. So should I ask it the last?
I mean, if it is relevant to this topic, then you can ask now.
No, ma'am, it is not at all.
Everybody is
It is
noting down, right?
something else.
Batao?
Ma'am, I think it's a silly thing, but I just wanted to know if there are some exceptions regarding an equation or something, a reaction. Are there, do we have exceptions of the exceptions over there also?
Yeah, next chapter may you have an exception or for an exception. Yes, there is one concept, one particular. It's actually reaction of metals with acids only, metal acid reaction only.
So there are some exceptions for exceptions on a reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. They usually come in 10th or 10th, 11th, 12th or in colleges also.
It depends on how deep you're going into the topic.
Okay, ma'am.
Like just now we saw one exception, like copper was an exception for this. Exceptions to an exception for acid metal reaction, like it's related to nitric acid. You have a okay. Anirban and Devi, you guys are done noting down. Elena, Puneet, Nikki, Dhruv, what about you guys still writing or?
Well, ma'am.
Done.
Okay. So proof of this thing, like these reactions, these set of reactions are really important. Amphoteric metals, we're saying that they react with both acids and bases, right? So note down one reaction of each. So we'll do that with aluminium and we'll do that with zinc. So with aluminium, take aluminium, make it react with an acid. HCl, you've done it earlier, right? So let's take H2SO4. This product you guys can predict easily. अभी आ गया ये वाला concept.
Al2SO4
Yes, aluminium sulfate, aluminium and sulfate. फिर valency लेके crisscross method. Sulfate का valency is 2, so this would be 2. Aluminium का valency is 3, so SO4 would be 3 plus hydrogen gases. This place, this will thoda just balance it. So this would be 3, 3, this would be 3. Now reaction with acid ho gaya. Let's look at a reaction with a base. So aluminium plus a really strong base, which is NaOH. So what product will it form?
Ma'am, could you repeat your question?
Yeah. So aluminium, when it reacts with a base, so this is the reaction that takes place. Again, you always take it in aqueous nature. Now water is important in the formation of this product because like water also takes part, like balancing ke liye is with water. So this also forms a salt. So us salt ka formula is NaAlO2 and hydrogen gases. The name of this compound, what do you guys think the name of this compound would be? I'll give you a hint. It is very similar to aluminium.
Sodium aluminate.
Very nice, Puneet. Yes. So this compound is called sodium aluminate.
Ma'am, aluminide it could be, right?
Minate, ATE.
And why aluminate?
Because see, for example, like iske upar hi take aluminium sulfate. So यहाँ पे the cation is aluminium and sulfate is formed by, it's an anion formed from sulfur plus oxygen. So similarly, idhar bhi sodium is the cation, that's why sodium, and the anion is formed by the combination of aluminium and oxygen. Isliye aluminate. So the format, like the pattern, is the same. So if you're talking about
Yeah, ma'am.
yeah, it is SO2 minus. Similarly, nitrate is NO3 minus. So nitrogen and oxygen. So aluminate is aluminium and oxygen. Similarly, figure out the reactions with zinc also. So you have zinc plus. Are you guys able to see at the bottom? Is it visible? Otherwise, I'll write it in the next
Yeah,
one.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah,
visible.
ma'am, it is visible.
Zinc plus HCl. This is metal plus acid wala reaction. And zinc plus base. Let's take NaOH. Okay. Aluminium plus NaOH, you got sodium aluminate. Zinc plus NaOH, what will you get?
Sodium zincate.
Sodium zincate, absolutely. Sodium zincate ka formula is slightly different. It's Na2ZnO2.
Ma'am, can you scroll a bit?
I can't scroll. I'll just. Is it visible now? Nikki?
Ma'am, can you do it a little more?
Okay. Till what point is it visible?
Yeah, now I can see.
Okay. So iska like this plus H2 gases. So what do you predict would be the name of this compound?
Sodium cyanide.
Sodium zincate. Zincate.
Zincate, yes. Aluminium के साथ it's aluminium, zinc के साथ is zincate. Zincate. So इसका products you should be able to write. So ZnCl2. Balance it. In this case, 2 NaOH, 8 Zn and H2, O2, H2 and O2. Yes. Balanced.
Done, ma'am.
हाँ, ठीक है.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, Zn reactions will come in what type of reaction?
मतलब?
These are metal reactions, right?
Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah. So usually metals don't react with bases. There are some types of metals, they're called amphoteric metals, that have a property of reacting with both acids and bases. So the reason they're called amphoteric is because they're reacting with both. Like, are you guys familiar with amphibians?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you mean by
Yes.
amphibians?
The animals that live on both land and water.
Correct. So whenever you come across both, right, like amphibian is like both land and water. Amphoteric is both acids and bases. That's why they're called amphoteric. Okay, guys, you switched off your video. Are you done? Are you noting क्या हो रहा है? Aditya, I think, is done. Anirban, Elena.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, what you said about the exceptions one, when I asked my school teacher, she said that it is not possible. It is only possible in higher grades, like in colleges and all.
Matlab, there's only one case that you have an exception to an exception. But yeah, like mostly, like in grade 10, that is the only one I can think of.
Okay, ma'am.
Again, I told you, right? Like it depends on how deep you go into the subject. If you're just looking at generalized thing like generalized reactions and things like that, it won't pop up. But if you go deeper, if you get into the reasoning, if you look at every single metal, then you'll start finding these exceptions. Okay. Puneet, Divya, Dhruv. Where are you guys? Okay.
Ma'am, I'm facing some issues.
So what sort of issues, like network issues?
Yeah, I'm getting locked down.
But at least batao na, like when you're done, like are you following? Like
Okay, I wrote it in the chat.
see, like Nikki is really communicative. So even if she doesn't have her video on, I know she's there.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, ma'am, Divya will be there in a minute.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Next.
Ma'am,
Yes, Mansi.
so ma'am, all of these sodium aluminate and all of these, are these salts?
Yes, they are salts.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, and regarding the MCQ pattern for the essay one, for the term ones, what type of questions can come from this chapter, like in MCQs?
Oh.
Because mainly we have reactions only to write, but in MCQs, what can come?
So you might be asked to predict the products. There are give reason sort of things, like your options can be, you know, which of these, like what is the correct reason for so and so thing happening. There are quite a few, like NCERT mein thode bahut hai. Abhi when we do workbook also you'll come across questions.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so next we have reaction of acids with metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates. Hydrogen carbonates is same as bicarbonates. Okay. Both of these follow the same format. So let's figure out what the reaction would be. So the second set of reactions is acid plus metal carbonate or bicarbonate. So again, bicarbonate same as hydrogen carbonate. It's just like one hydrogen extra there. Okay, so first let's figure out what the general equation is. Then you guys can note down the general format and all that. Okay, so let's say you have acid. Let's take HCl because that's very simple. Plus metal carbonate. Can anyone give an example of a carbonate?
Carbonate is CO3, right?
Calcium carbonate.
CaCO3.
Calcium carbonate, very good. So you have CaCO3. Okay, so based on the cations and anions, what would be the product? Can you guys predict? Let's work it out. HCl say what all ions do you get?
H plus Cl minus.
Okay. CaCO3 say what all ions do you get?
Ca plus CO3 minus.
CO3, okay, valency क्या है कैल्शियम और कार्बोनेट का?
2.
Ca2
Oh no, 2. Yeah, 2 and
and
minus 1.
CO3 2 minus. Okay. Now, if the reaction has to take place, which all ions will like combine with each other?
CaCl 2,
and Cl formula क्या बनेगा?
CaCl2.
CaCl2 and
HCO3.
H2CO3.
yeah, Mansi, be aware of the valency. Yeah, यहाँ पे H plus है, CO3 2 minus है. Yeah, H2CO3. So abhi H2CO3 is something called carbonic acid, and it is an extremely weak acid. It is very weak that it basically dissociates, like it is never stable. So H2CO3 again gets divided into H2O and CO2. In fact, it's a very common acid. Like if you buy any soft drink, right, like Coke, Pepsi, all of that contains carbonic acid. It's basically when you dissolve carbon dioxide in water, a small amount of carbonic acid is formed. But it's very unstable, which is why you get that fizz, like all that carbon dioxide basically escapes out. So that's what is the fizz that you find. Okay, so now you have the generalized equation. So if you take an acid, so note this part down. So acid plus or let's say metal carbonate. So it can be either a metal carbonate or a metal bicarbonate. What are the products? So based on this, can you guys predict? So what kind of a compound is CaCl2?
Ionic.
Yeah. So Elena, what?
Salt.
Yeah. So you get salt plus carbonic acid is unstable. So this breaks down into H2O plus CO2. And CO2 escapes as a fizz. Bubbles out. Okay. So this is the generalized reaction of acid. So whether you take a carbonate or a bicarbonate, basically hydrogen carbonate, the products will be the same. The only thing is like the balancing, depending on what all you have, that changes, but products will be the same. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's practice this reaction. Let's take sulfuric acid plus our friend, the baking soda, NaHCO3. So products kya banega? So just figure it out and send it over chat. I am checking your WhatsApp also, so send it anywhere. Yes, Mansi, correct. So it's CO3 minus. Aditya, yes. Products are absolutely right. Now you just have to look at the balancing of that. Puneet, check the valency. Otherwise, products are right. Salt ka formula is wrong. Yeah, balance.
Oh, I forgot to mention 2.
Aditya and Puneet has sent. Okay, Mansi, you working it out. Anirban. Mansi, again, final product, I had mentioned H2CO3 breaks down, right? So, like,
Yeah, ma'am, I'll just write.
Dhruv, Dhruv, no, you get, so whether it's carbonate or bicarbonate, like the hydrogen doesn't stick to the metal. So that also gets converted into carbonic acid only. So the salt will not be NaHSO4. Okay? It's going to be the same salt, whether it's CO3 or HCO. Neki, you also made the same mistake in terms of the balancing. So sodium sulfate ka formula dekh lo. Okay. Oh, the other products also. Neki, see carefully what is written here, no? H2O and CO2. H2CO3 doesn't break down as, like it doesn't break down in the center. You get water and carbon dioxide. So Neki, just check. Elena, yes, your products are all right. Mansi, yes, your products are all right. Dhruv, yes, your products are all right. So Puneet sent, Aditya sent, Mansi got it, Dhruv got it, Elena got it. Then who else? Neki, you need to check your product. Divya and Anirban. I'm waiting for answers from you guys. Okay. Nice. Puneet and Aditya have balanced it also. Good stuff. Elena also, no, your equation is not balanced. Products are right. Just need to balance it. So the salt is basically यहाँ का cation और यहाँ का anion. So it's going to be Na and SO4. Formula क्या होगा? Compound between Na and SO4. Neki. Oh.
So, ma'am, it would be. Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, tell me.
Na2SO4.
Yes, Na2SO4 होना चाहिए. And the products others are given right here. Salt के बाद you get H2O and CO2. Yeah. Divya, where did you miss out? Like, what was the last thing we were discussing when you're there?
Well, no, this question only I was before that.
Like, were you there when we did the general equation of how you get the products of this? Like, I'm trying to figure out what you missed, Divya. So based on that, I can help out. So what was the last thing we were doing? Like, were you there for this equation, or was it the previous thing, or where exactly was it? Divya, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I was like the second, where you have marked second.
Okay. So ये पूरा part you were in there.
Yes.
Okay. So do you know the reaction between acid and metal carbonate or bicarbonate? Like, are you familiar with this equation? Do you understand the concept of it?
Yes, ma'am.
So wait, like उतना ही discuss किया. So acid है. If we have if we make it react with either a carbonate or the bicarbonate, this is how the ions react with each other. So acid say you get H plus and the anion. इसमें से you get the metal cation and carbonate anion. So this metal cation and anion combine to give salt, and H plus and CO3 2 minus produces weak acid called carbonic acid, which is very unstable. It's a weak acid. It cannot stay together. So that again divides into H2O and CO2. That's where you're getting this carbon dioxide from. Okay, and this is the example we were doing. Okay, and where are you guys? Like, I have turned off my video because someone was mentioning that it was lagging. But so Anirban, clear about this? Aya kya? I didn't get an answer from you, Anirban.
Yes, now got it.
Okay, ठीक है. Another example. Let's go with HCl plus और क्या carbonate? Zinc carbonate, ZnCO3. What products do you get? Nice, good stuff, Devi. You got it. Aditya also sent in. Very nice. Puneet.
I have directly sent it the balance equation.
Yeah. So all three of you, Devi, Aditya, Puneet, you guys have sent the right, like, it's balanced equation. Mansi, yeah, your products are correct. The reason why I'm not stressing so much on balancing Abhi is because whole of previous chapter was based on balancing, but that does not mean that you can just let it go. When you present your final equation, it needs to be balanced. Okay. Anirban, yes, your products. One product is wrong. Like, check salt carbon dioxide के साथ क्या produce हो रहा है? Elena, correct. Equation is also balanced. So Anirban, one product is wrong. Just check again. Your salt is correct. So carbon dioxide के साथ जो है, the third product is not right. So Neki and Devi has sent in, Puneet sent in, Aditya sent, Mansi sent. So Neki, just waiting for you. Neki and Dhruv. Dhruv and Neki haven't gotten answers.
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute.
ZnCl. So ZnCl2, most of you have gotten it. साथ में H2O CO2 is constant. Whenever you see carbonate, H2O CO2 हमेशा रहेगा ही. If it is pure metal, because you don't have oxygen, hydrogen, like कुछ भी नहीं है, so only hydrogen is released. Yeah. So that way. Okay. Awesome. Yes, got it. So this is where you made a mistake. You sent H2. नहीं, like जब भी carbonate है, whenever you have like oxygen in the mix, you get water. The hydrogen combines with the oxygen to create water.
What did he said about the pure metal, something like that?
हाँ, तो pure metal के साथ reaction में you get pure hydrogen because यहाँ पे कोई oxygen कुछ है नहीं. It's only the metal, so you just get hydrogen.
Okay.
But carbonate में carbonate ना CO3 है. So that's why you get the extra carbon dioxide and water.
Okay.
I'll give you guys one more reaction just for the heck of it. I think you guys should be able to do. I'm confident in you guys. Let's see how many of you answer it. So if I take sulfuric acid, H2SO4, aqueous, plus magnesium oxide, dissolve it in water, then what product will I get? So this time it's a metal oxide, it's not a pure metal. So again, whenever you're confronted with this kind of equation, no, like one hack is to figure out what ions you get from this, and then, you know, figure out which ion will go with what. Nikki got it. Puneet got it. Yes. Well done, you guys. Good stuff. Dev, you got it.
Ma'am, it is already balanced, right?
Yeah. Yes. Ah, so proud of you. You guys could figure it out. Nice. Elena got it. Mansi got it. Very good. So yeah, basically the ions get exchanged. So H plus, SO4 2 minus, Mg2 plus, and O2 minus. So Mg and SO4 will combine to form MgSO4 magnesium sulfate. And instead of hydrogen gas, because you got the oxide ion also, you get water as the additional product. Nice. I think all of you.
And did you receive my answer? Because I sent a long back.
नहीं अभी मिला है 447.
I think so. There's some delay.
But all of you got it right. Like, and all of you sent it before I was discussing here also. That's good. Okay. Now we have the final reaction. Okay. One of you guys, either Anirban or Aditya, had mentioned that you're facing trouble with this, so pay attention. We're going to talk about neutralization reaction.
Miss, what about bases with metal carbonates or bicarbonates? They don't react?
No, bases don't react with carbonates or bicarbonates. Actually, before we go with neutralization, yeah, good. Thanks, Puneet. You reminded me actually. So just like how we have reaction with acids and metal oxide, similarly, you can also have a reaction with base, let's say NaOH, and non-metal oxide. So non-metal oxide would be, for example, let's take carbon dioxide. So what would be the product formed in this case? So the funda is same. Like, and this also kind of proves one property. In this case, because a metal oxide is neutralizing an acid, you say, okay, this has like a slight acid, this has a slight basic property. Similarly, non-metal oxide have a tendency to neutralize bases. So we say non-metal oxides have a slight acidic property. Another way to confirm this acidic basic properties is also by dissolving. If you dissolve metal oxide in water, you get bases, hydroxides. If you dissolve non-metal oxides in water, you get acids. So that kind of proves it. Okay. Which means that bases, they won't react with metal oxides, but they will react with non-metal oxides. So kya produce hoga? There we got it. Good stuff. Neki, no, like sodium is highly reactive. Like it's a simple reaction, say you like sodium metal ko pa nahi sakte. Aditya got it. Yes. Nice. So Divya, one tiny little thing, like what do you call it? Like difference is that okay, like I won't pick this thing like when it comes to. So Aditya and Dev, you have sent in their answers. Both of you are correct. So Dev, we will get your product if CO2 was limited, and Aditya, we will get your product if CO2 was excess. That said, both of you are like partly correct. Puneet, kind of, but not really. Okay, so what you get is, in this case, you got a salt, right? So in this case also, you're going to kind of get a salt. So because you took carbon dioxide, we will get Na2CO3 plus H2O. This is very similar to another reaction that you guys have come across. Do you guys can you guys recall what is similar to this reaction? Like there is a reaction, carbon dioxide, one of the carbonates is formed, but you guys have done this reaction earlier. Let's see who can recall it. I'll give you a hint. This sort of reaction is similar to the test for carbon dioxide. Who remembers it?
Combination.
Combination? No.
Exothermic.
Right. Like test for carbon dioxide, exothermic kahan se aaya?
It's the lime water test now.
Yes, Mansi got it. Correct. So lime water ka formula kya hai, Mansi? What is lime water? Yeah, Mansi?
Is it slake lime?
Yes.
I don't remember actually. I'm getting
Calcium
confused.
carbonate. CaCl3.
वो तो limestone है. That's like basically
Calcium hydroxide.
calcium hydroxide. Yes, you got like 2/3 of the facts correct. Like lime water is slaked lime. Chemical formula is CaOH twice. That's basically lime water. Again, remember lime is calcium को water में mix करने में, like because you're mixing it in water, right? So you get your hydroxide there. So CaOH twice. Plus, if you blow carbon dioxide in it, what is formed from this reaction?
CaCO3.
CaCO3 plus just this, or is there anything more?
Plus water.
Water. So the hydrogen is basically going in form of water. Okay. And how do you identify carbon dioxide? Like, what does this equation represent? Like, what
Becomes
does carbon
milky.
dioxide? Yeah, Puneet, you were saying?
It becomes milky, right?
Yes. So the mixture of calcium carbonate and water. So calcium carbonate is a white compound, and you mix it in water, it basically looks like milk. Because it is not soluble in water, the white salt is just suspended in water. That's why it, you say it becomes milky. So clear solution, colorless, transparent, clear solution becomes like a white liquid, just like milk. That's why it say carbon dioxide turns lime water milky. Okay. And on blowing excess carbon dioxide, फिर क्या होगा? So if you keep blowing, like, okay, first it turns milky, then what happens? Hello?
Ma'am, can you please repeat? You are not audible.
So I was saying, lime water, on passing carbon dioxide through lime water, it turns milky. Then if you keep passing carbon dioxide, so on passing excess carbon dioxide, then what will happen to that milkiness?
No idea.
Again, transparent.
Okay, fine. Okay, we're nearing the end of the class, right? I'll send you guys a solution. So what happens is on passing excess CO2, the milkiness becomes transparent again. Okay. The reason why it becomes transparent is, so already you have CO, CO3 and H2O because isi mein you're adding more CO2, right? So this will react with more CO2 and produce calcium bicarbonate, CaHCO3 as H2O. Now this calcium bicarbonate is soluble. So this dissolves in water, making it again transparent. So like milky solution becomes clear. Soluble, so the solution becomes clear. Yeah. So this is important. You guys test for CO2. Test for hydrogen is simple, like flame extinguishers with a squeaky pop. You guys got it. Similarly, test for CO2 is also important because you will get questions like long answer questions like a compound or a gas X or a compound X when it is heated produces a gas Y. When this gas is passed through lime water, the solution turns milky. On passing X as Y, then it becomes clear again. Then identify X and Y. So you will get questions like that. So you need to know, either you may get a direct question like test for CO2, like what is the test for CO2, give the reactions, or you may get a question the other way around, like they'll give you the test itself saying that when this gas is passed through, A happens, B happens, C happens, and then you have to identify what gas it is. So all these tests are quite important, and along with the tests, they'll ask you about the equations, the reactions also. Okay, so note this down. Let me know when you guys are done noting it down. So I suppose day after tomorrow we'll start with we'll do neutralization and the rest of the things, strength of acids, bases, then indicators and all of that. Okay. Actually, can you guys stay like for 15 minutes? Neutralization is pretty simple. We can get it done in like 10-15 minutes. Like if you have some other engagement, something else, let me know. Otherwise, if you're okay to stay, we can finish off neutralization. Then all the reactions will be done. That's why.
Ma'am, can we get in next class itself?
I have to leave because I have school work, that's why.
Oh, okay. You have something else. Okay, neutralization, we'll do it in next class.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So let me know when you guys are done noting it down. Then I'll end the session and then I'll send you guys the homework also, like practice questions.
Can we leave the class?
Before you go,
How many questions will you give?
you have like today and tomorrow, right? And it's just like what, first 1/3 of the chapter, so won't be a lot. Check from the workbook. So how do you guys feel about the reactions? Are you more comfortable? Like, will you be able to do it?
Getting more comfortable.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, they're easy.
Okay. Yeah. Once you do question, you'll be confident. Yeah, Alina, what's up?
Ma'am, could you explain the reaction of sodium hydroxide with carbon dioxide once again?
Yeah. So like the reaction, mechanism or the concept is same as your lime water. Like both of these are basically the same reaction, just that you have different things. But yeah, I'll just do it here. So let's say you have sodium hydroxide and carbon dioxide, right? Now, all of this takes place in water, right? So what happens is when you mix carbon dioxide in water, carbon dioxide will combine with water to form carbonic acid. So carbonic acid is H2CO3. Okay. So H2CO3 carbonic acid basically produces H plus and CO3 2 minus ions. So when the NaOH comes into the picture, right? So NaOH in water exists as Na plus and OH minus. So this cation combines with CO3 2 minus and this H plus OH minus combine with each other. So that's why your products are Na2CO3 and H2O. So this is like behind the scenes what is going to take place. The crux of it is that carbon dioxide in water exists as H2CO3.
Okay, ma'am. Got it.
Okay, cool. Puneet is done. Neki is done. Anirban is done.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Aditya is also done. Mansi also mentioned she's done. Yes, messaged. So Elena, Divya, and Dhruv. So once you guys are done noting it down, like if in case you don't have any more questions, then I'll end the session. Otherwise,